Former India captain Dilip Vengsarkar has hinted that his term as chief selector of the BCCI's National Selection Committee was cut short in 2008 owing to his backing of current Indian skipper Virat Kohli over Tamil Nadu batsman S. Badrinath. This did not apparently sit well with then BCCI treasurer N. Srinivasan. Vengsarkar said that his insistence that a teenage Kohli who led India under-19s to the Junior World Cup in 2008 be added to India's ODI squad for the tour of Sri Lanka that year was what forced Srinivasan to end his tenure as chief selector. Viren now joins me with more on that story. Viren, that is a shocking revelation coming there from one of India's greatest cricketers. And let's face it, I for one am very, very pleased that Vengsarkar stuck to his guns.
Well, absolutely, and he paid the price for it. He paid the price for it by losing his job as the chairman of selectors for the Indian cricket team, and that was immediately after he refused to have Badrinath take the place of Virat Kohli. Now, the entire let's put into perspective what Vengsarkar was actually talking about. He was talking about having Virat Kohli in the team. Virat Kohli had just won the Under-19 World Cup as captain, and the entire selection committee was in unified support of the fact of Dilip Vengsarkar's move. Now, Dilip Vengsarkar had watched Virat Kohli play not just at the Under-19 World Cup, but also at the Emerging Players event. So he says that the performances of Virat Kohli told me that I was justified in picking him to play for the Indian team, to go to Sri Lanka. Now, what happened after that was, obviously, Badrinath was out, and then N. Srinivasan, he says, comes up to Dilip Vengsarkar and asks him, why did you drop Subramanian Badrinath when Badrinath had scored in the domestic circuit? But the fact of the matter is that, what Vengsarkar told Srinivasan was that I was convinced that Virat Kohli deserved an opportunity. This was the perfect opportunity to give Virat Kohli a chance to play for the Indian team, and I think his performances then on doesn't need any introduction. The manner in which Virat Kohli has taken the bull by the horns in international cricket, Dilip Vengsarkar clearly saw something there, and so did the rest of the selectors. But the then treasurer of the BCCI, the man who went on to be the president of the board, did not see it that way, and Dilip Vengsarkar lost his job. He paid with his job for sticking to his guns, and that was the cost he paid.
Right, Viren, Dilip Vengsarkar, of course, paid by being forced to quit his job then. But this controversy that he is actually, sparked today with his revelations, how will that impact, N. Srinivasan, and how will that impact future team selections that the BCCI does?
Well, Kavita, one thing that we've spoken to a number of selectors, in fact, post these revelations that were made by Dilip Vengsarkar. Now, while they may be slightly circumspect and may not want to come out in the open and say very much, but the fact of the matter is they admit that this is how things used to be in the BCCI, perhaps even worse before that. But subsequently, we've seen things change quite a bit. We've seen selectors become more accountable, and therefore the interference of the board has reduced to a great extent, and now virtually is zero. Now you've got the selection committee of the senior team and the women's team and the junior team, which takes place. The BCCI is pretty much out of the loop as far as those things are concerned. The Supreme Court has put out its guidelines that it would like for the selection committee under the Lodha committee there. So all those things have seen a sort of streamlining of the way in which the selection committees work. They kept out of the influence of the cricket board, which is the way ahead, because if you are to pay these people big salaries and if you are to hold them accountable, then you have to give them the freedom to do what is right, to pick the right sort of players, to go out there and not think about the ramifications of having dropped a big name from the Indian team, because we've seen selectors in the past as well. Mohinder Amarnath, said it in the past. He paid with his job when he spoke about MS Dhoni, and that was the reality then. Things are changing very, very quickly now, and they're very different now in 2018 from what they were back in 2008 and perhaps even before that.